Okay, how's everybody doing, or how are you doing? How's everyone doing? How's that? So anyway, my name is Kent. Channel is EOS San Diego, and I talk about the EOS blockchains mainly. I mean, a lot of people are blockchain agnostic. They follow all blockchains, and that's kind of what a lot of people do. They'll cover everything with blockchain, especially if you have a YouTube channel, because you cover a lot of different cryptocurrencies. I'm pretty much exclusively EOS, although I do look at the other cryptocurrencies because they're all related, and I have a interest in all of them, but I would call myself EOS blockchain primarily. I do like Bitcoin, I do like Ethereum, I do like XRP, and I do like Tron. I like a few others, but I'm basically EOS central, and that's one of the things I always say about my channel. Is of course, we build a dApp on EOS, the challenge applications. So we're pretty much with EOS. That's kind of where my interest lies. So that's why I make these videos about the EOS blockchain. Although I may start covering some other stuff in the future about blockchains, but I talk primarily about the blockchain, the EOS blockchain, and then in a bigger scope, kind of about the economy and the overall idea and general picture as far as why I think blockchain is important and why I think it's going to be something very, very big in the coming years. But what I want to talk about tonight is I want to talk about how this financial world that we live in is rapidly changing, and it's going to change in a way that none of us are going to recognize in a few years. I was listening to someone today. In fact, I mentioned him the other night, and a few people responded to his name, which is Max Kaiser. I like listening to Max Kaiser. Max Kaiser is a pretty fiery kind of guy. He's on RT. You can find his videos if you want to find him on YouTube. He does I think maybe nightly, daily, at least once a week. I don't know how often he does them. I don't follow him as close as I used to follow him. I used to follow him fairly closely, but not as much as I used to. But anyway, Max Kaiser was talking the other night, and he was talking about how he thinks there's going to be a kind of separation between the people that have and the people that have nots. So literally, people that have a certain amount of money are going to be able to isolate themselves from the rest of the world. They kind of like live in their own little encampments. Kind of like, he made the separation at about $20 million, $25 million. You'll be able to kind of live a little bit independent, and then everybody else is going to be lumped into this huge lower class, and they'll be just fighting for scraps. But I thought about that for a while, and I just didn't think that made a lot of sense, because it just doesn't add up to what I think is going to happen. You're not going to see what we have had in the past, which is kind of what Max Kaiser is describing, is this higher 1%ers, and of course it'd be a lot higher than 25 million, and then everybody else struggles. I think what you're going to see in the future is you're going to see that things are going to become more decentralized, especially in the way of currencies. I think country currencies are going to go away. I think the idea of having a country and a currency, and that's what everyone associates money with, is not going to be happening in the future. I think what you're going to have in the future is you're going to have companies' identities with currencies. For instance, you're going to have Facebook is going to have their own currency. Maybe EOS, of course, has its currency. But everything, like we will have our currency with Challenge. But instead of denominating in countries' currencies, you will be denominating in companies or applications or whatever it is. Whatever that is that they decide to launch, you'll be denominating in those currencies or those ways of transacting for financial worth, not in a country's currencies, like the US dollar or the Chinese yen, or the Japanese yen, or Japanese whatever it is. I don't know, I think it is the yen. But anyway, those will not be the things you will be transacting in anymore. You'll be transacting in Bitcoin. You'll be transacting in voice. You'll be transacting in Ethereum. You'll be transacting in whatever application that's being built with that cryptocurrency that's being launched. And then they'll be exchanged on exchanges. So instead of having country currencies, there's going to be individual business currencies. And if you think about this in the past, this is the way it used to be in the United States. Prior to the Federal Reserve System, which is relatively recent, I think 1913, prior to that, you had banks issuing their own currencies. You had, in fact, I used to collect coins, and I remember seeing a lot of banks, state banks, that were issuing their own currency, their own coin, their own gold coin. You know, a certain bank would have a gold coin. You know, Bank of California, and it would be a gold coin, stamped Bank of California, and they would transact, and they would be doing business in their coin. And there was no Federal Reserve System, and there was no unified dollar or something that was controlled by the feds or the currencies or anything like that. It was all individual. So I think that's what we're going to go back to. We're going to go back to a decentralized system where instead of having a centralized money like the dollar or the yen or the rupee or the ruble or any of these other kinds of currencies, you're going to have cryptocurrencies. You're going to have individual cryptocurrencies that are all going to be controlled through digital technology. That's going to be the future, not where you have a separation of people where certain people have 25 million and they live isolated from the people that don't have 25 million. You're going to see an open currency with people that are going to transact in a lot of different ways of transacting, a lot of different ways of currencies. And I believe it's going to open up the financial system more than it's ever been opened up before. And it's going to make it more fair for everybody. Not only is it going to make it more fair, it's going to make it a much better, much open, much less controlled system. So that's what I think is going to happen. And that's going to happen hopefully very soon. You're going to see a digitized world with a digitized economy, digitized currency, and no more trade wars, no more trade barriers, no more tariffs, and hopefully no more wars like we've seen in the past. I appreciate you watching. Thank you very much.